later in the postgame, we will hear from head coach Ryan Saunders reacting to tonight's setback. We'll try to get you some scores and other highlights from around the league, as well as try to get you inside that Timberwolves player Zoom room before we send you on your way here this evening. Let's start with those highlights. Timberwolves hosting the Clippers. Minnesota just back home at the Target Center for a quick one-game pit stop and hoping to snap out of a mini two-game skid. 2 straight games where the Wolves spotted their opponents' massive first-half leads and then really had to piece together rallies to just get back into striking distance before coming up short in each of those games. But of course, the big news entering this matchup tonight, the return of Karl Anthony Towns. He was listed initially as doubtful yesterday, then upgraded to questionable, then was called a game-time decision, but went through a brief walkthrough and then went through warm-ups, and he was good to go. Cat was out there, and it did not take him long to insert himself into this ball game.
Rubio, up top, Beasley, he'll work off the Towns screen. Probes to the mid-post, now backs it out, wide open on the 3, he'll let fly, comes up short, Cat, the offensive rebound, Nimitz nicely rises back up and jams with the right hand. Welcome back, Karl Anthony Towns.
Good to see him out there dominating inside in that first frame. 7 points, 3 boards, and 2 dimes in 7 first quarter minutes for Cat. Minnesota built a lead as large as 11 in that first frame. They looked like a different team with Cat out there, even if it wasn't always him doing the offensive production or really providing the stats necessarily. Things were just flowing differently and looked great out there against this Clippers team. Minnesota led by 5 after 1, 32-27. And as we started that second quarter, it was Minnesota once again opening the frame with a burst.
He had 45 in a game here at Target Center a number of years ago as Noel hits a right angle 3 and forces Ty Lue to call a timeout. Timberwolves have their largest lead of the half. They're up 44-31. They lead by 13.
A 12-4 start to the second quarter for Minnesota there. Not surprisingly, but LA responded. They got to within 5 a couple different times, and Minnesota reestablished a 6-point cushion just in front of the halftime horn. So 53-47. Wolves took a lead into the break, which compared to the previous 2 first halves, both in OKC and then in Dallas, you'll take that if you're Minnesota, especially with the way things looked, having Cat back out there for his first half minutes. Now into that third quarter, you knew a rally was coming from this Clippers team filled with veterans, even missing Paul George tonight. They got Patrick Beverley back in the lineup, and of course, Kawhi Leonard out there looming as always, ready to take the game over at any time. It was LA starting the third quarter on a 12-3 run. They took the lead there. For much of that third quarter, it remained a 1 or 2 possession cushion for the Clippers. They couldn't really gain any separation, that is, until late in that quarter.
Let's turn it over out of the timeout. Leonard in the lane, his dotted line pull-up jumper is good. 22 points for Kawhi Leonard. It's a 9-0 run. Clippers up by 10.
He wasn't done there. Clippers close out that third frame on a 17-9 run. Took a 7-point lead into the fourth quarter, and you heard it right there on the highlight, converting a Minnesota turnover into points. Minnesota with 15 miscues in this one. LA turning those into 16 points. And Minnesota found themselves trailing by 7 entering that fourth quarter. And if recent results were any indication, no deficit is too large for this Wolves team to scratch and claw their way back from. You just don't want to make a habit of doing it night in and night out. Wolves were down by 7 entering the fourth, but Naz Reid came in to really spark things for Minnesota.
Easy back out. Naz thought about a 3. A jab step. Now he'll let fly and hit. Naz Reid from deep, a second triple of the night. The Wolves' 13th triple of the game, and it brings the Wolves to within 2, 86-84. It's a 9-0 Minnesota run with 9 minutes left to play.
Yeah, Naz tonight, of course, ceding that starting lineup spot to Karl Anthony Towns with Cat making his return. But what a spark Naz provided off the bench in this one tonight. You heard him hit the triple there to get Minnesota to within 2. He scored 12 of Minnesota's first 14 points in that fourth quarter, basically lifting them back into this ball game. He finished with 23 on the night, 9 of 13 from the field, 2 of 3 from deep, and just provided a much-needed boost early on in that fourth quarter. And that triple right there provides us with our Mayo Clinic play of the game. Mayo Clinic uncovers answers through exploration teamwork, and innovation, answers that can define a path forward. So if you're looking for answers, you know where to go. Visit mayoclinic.org/answers to learn more. So Nas with the needed lift there for Minnesota in that fourth quarter when things were sort of teetering away from the Wolves. But every time Minnesota would have an answer, often it was Nas in that early in that fourth, but every time they got close, LA instantly responded.
Comes left, attacks down the lane, got stripped. Beverly got his hand in there, poked it free. Lou Williams controls for the Clippers. In the front court, attacking Beasley. Pocket pass, Leonard hesitates, rises, and then finishes. 96-87. It's a 9-point Clipper lead with 7 minutes left to play, and it forces Ryan Saunders to call a timeout.
A 10-3 response from the Clippers following that Nas trade to get Minnesota to within 2. And LA up 9 there. They quickly pushed it to 11, and it remained at double figures for the large majority of this fourth quarter until the game's final minute and change, when Minnesota did a pretty good job of extending the game out in that final minute, got to within 7 a couple different times, and of course that is our final deficit. 119-112. Wolves come up short tonight, but a lot of things to like in the return of Karl Anthony Towns. Again, Cat with an 18-point, 10-rebound double-double. Malik Beasley, after a very slow first half, it sort of looked like he was adjusting to that new offensive rhythm with Cat back out there and, of course, commanding touches on the offensive end. But Malik really caught fire in the second half. He had 21 points in this one. Meanwhile, Ricky Rubio getting the start in the point guard spot with D'Lo on the shelf due to that left leg injury. Not